Hey everybody, how are y'all doing? I think we're live. Yeah. Yep, we're live. How are you guys doing? Sorry to keep you waiting again. Um it's our first time we're having Heidi. This is Heidi Love. That's her real name. She has at least it's not Kresha. You know what I'm saying? Cre- Everybody's
I
like,
mean,
"What?" And I'm like, Kresha, I have to spell it and everything. And that's
oh yeah,
LUV, which I love.
my
It's
parents
funny.
were
I like it.
raging hippies.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So she has a podcast called Unfiltered Rise Podcast. I found her like right before Chad's trial, and she was on other people's podcasts or whatever. So I couldn't really I didn't know her. I knew her name was Heidi. I wrote it down, but I did. That's not the name of her podcast. So after Chad's trial, I was like, how do I get a hold of her? And then I clicked on another random podcast the other day, became a subscriber as well. And there she was. I was like, well, dang, okay, there you are. So here we are. And so she's gonna come on. This is kind of the tentative plan. She's gonna come on and we're going she's gonna school me because this I've not gone here. I've dabbled. I'm a dabbler. Okay. Y'all know how I've just kind of been all around the realm. But she's gonna teach us about the esoteric side, the Freemason, the occult, and we know there is some occultism. There's so much proof it's unreal. As she does that, as she brings all that, and plus her experience as an ex-Mormon, yeah, she's a really cool one too. Just saying. Um, and I love her laugh, by the way. I'm like, oh God, it makes me laugh every time.
Aw.
But, so yeah, and we will go ahead and like just apply Lori and Chad's case to it. All the things that, we're like, oh no, that fits. And we also have Tim Ballard, we have Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frankie, Two Live Crew, the whole damn Mormon Two Live Crew is what it is. Kool-Aid in the
Yeah, it is.
gang, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
and so anybody joining us from, Heidi's channel from Unfiltered, it's gonna take me a little bit to remember the name. But,
Okay.
if anybody over there, welcome to Difficult Research. My name is Kresha K. Easton. I am I got here on accident or by because 2 people fell in lust, basically, right? And so Lori Vallow was my aunt until she was not. In 2019, she and her fifth husband, we'll say, they're both faithful Latter-day Saints. Whenever they went rogue, or they say they went rogue, this is where we're gonna we're gonna debunk that. Is what we're gonna do. We're gonna debunk that. And that just made me really excited. um, so I don't know. You take over. You're a better talker.
All right. No, you're good. Hello everyone. I'm Heidi Love. I'm from the Unfiltered Rise. I was so happy when Kresha hit me up on the email and then I got to talk to her and I was like, I think we're related.
We're
So,
spirit
yeah,
sisters.
yes, we are now and we are
Spirit
going to bring
siblings.
that's right. We're gonna bring you guys
Just
some
saying.
stuff that is like a little bit whoa and woo, right? Like
But so are
it's weird.
they.
Yeah. And we have to explain it, right? I told Kresha that. I said, I think I have some answers for you because this
Oh
is
yeah,
weird. And so I have
definitely.
also just for anybody on my channel that follows me and knows this is a little bit different presentation. And also we are going to be going into mystical masonry, which is primitive
Ooh.
masonry. That will be a different show because I have to set the like stage so you guys know what the heck is going on and
That's
then
awesome.
go from there. Yeah. So
I'm
that's what I do.
excited.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the best community here, and I mean, they've been here
Happy.
for it. So, they're here for it, and we're here for it for the long haul because we wanna know what the hell, okay? And I mean, you can only do so much by yourself and without the mainstream media's help,
Yes.
so to
Yeah.
speak. I really think that that's true justice to the victims is to tell the correct story. That I mean, if we sit here and we tell a whitewashed version, then it's never gonna we'll never be able to get to the root of the problem. We will never be able to locate that and address that, you know. I doubt we'll ever get the narcissist to acknowledge that, but that's okay, you know. We've been working
True.
handicap
True.
here, but there's a lot of us, so I'm ready. Anyways,
I'm so happy to meet everybody too. I didn't say hello to your followers, and I
go
just
for
want
it.
to say hello. And also, if you follow me on YouTube, that's amazing. And I only post once a week. But if you follow me on Spotify, I post twice a week because my stuff gets spicy sometimes, and they don't like it.
Ooh.
So
I like it.
it is
It's
what
been
it is.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome,
So
you know?
I
Disseminating
have
the
a
truth,
full
like, disseminating all this stuff is, like it's so important, but the fact that you like to have fun while doing it, just like me, oh, that makes a difference in my opinion, you know?
Yes, I
And
like
I watched
to.
Dan Vogel last night. I did. I
Oh
was
my
like,
god,
"Okay, Imma do it." I did it.
it's so dry. It is
Yeah,
dry.
I was
He
like
is He is dry. Yeah,
very
and
boring.
nothing against Dan Vogel, but, anybody that has been a church member, and me and Kresha kinda talked about this, it I really
Either
wonder. Yeah.
either active and or not active, either way.
Mm, yeah. It's one of those things where if they don't go the whole way in, which I do, there is nothing that is too sacred for me to talk about
Amen.
because
Amen.
mm-mm, no, and
Amen.
especially when Krisha asked me to join the fight for her family, I'm like, "Yes, I will." That is crazy, and she knows that I've been in contact with the Laffertys. I've sat down to lunch with them.
Yeah,
Like, I am a justice warrior. I also got here on accident. I'm a registered nurse, and
rude.
I do mental health. Yeah, so
That's
I
I
I
can't
mean,
wait to, like, pick your brain about that aspect of it with Lori and her mental health issues, like, her mental
yes,
health days and Curtin and McConkie, all that good stuff.
yes, yes, it'll
Corruption.
be interesting. Yes, yes, and so
Okay,
I'm happy to see everybody here. So
good. I'm so
nice to
glad
meet you
there.
guys. I was a Mormon for 34 years before I started in. I guess I should tell everyone. I was born into the faith. I was raised in it. My family, actually, my DNA says Mormon, Utah settler. Like, there's no more Mormon than I
Girl,
am or
woo,
was. Yeah,
I don't know how you
yeah,
stay
it's
there.
insane.
It's like all the
God,
portals are open.
oh, yeah,
They're
no,
ramping up.
100 100%. And I feel like we have so I was telling Krisha, we would probably get out of here, except we have adult grown children. We have 6 kids because every Mormon does. And and so we have these little kids and big kids and kids having kids, and we just don't want to leave our grandkids. So that's
Right?
our thing.
It's about posterity too, We're supposed to
Yes,
be
yes,
leaving this place in a better, uh, position or better place than we left, than we got it. Very hard to do.
absolutely.
We're working
Yes. And
against, like, the force or something, I don't know. Hello, everybody.
we are really, like, involved too, like, we like to take the grandbaby every single week and,
That's sweet.
so, yeah, we like to
That's
be
so
involved,
sweet.
and
I love it.
he's
I
fun.
love it. I
Yes,
usually
it's
get shunned by the anybody Mormon, ex-Mormon, all
all the mo's,
all the all the
ex-mo's, no
mo's. I'm over here
mo's.
just being never Mo, and I'm just like, I have, like, files saved, and I'm like, "No Mo, Mo Mo." I mean, I've just been silly with it, You
That's
gotta do what
right.
you gotta
I
do.
like it. I like it a
Oh, that's
lot,
so
and
sweet.
we're aw. And I also wanted to tell you guys there will be upcoming shows on the financial end of this. Um,
Yes.
how this connects to the CIA, how this connects to Las Vegas, how this connects to more
Ooh.
than Las Vegas, how this connects to a
I'm,
sugar
like,
factory.
so excited. It's messed up,
Oh,
huh? Like, let's get
I've
into some
fallen
corruption.
Oh my gosh, I have fallen down the rabbit hole so bad that I even found a book. This is funny, but it might go somewhere that is really old that funny enough, they say the Book of Mormon was possibly a cipher for the recipe for uh
A disaster.
nose candy, we'll say it that way, which so many of
Uh-uh.
the weird
What?
momos like, right? And
Like, Tim
isn't that
Ballard does, allegedly.
exactly, and then
Okay,
isn't
good.
that funny that it would go with a sugar factory? Like, is there no better way to, like, send that
Might
places?
as well just add the carbohydrates and the starches, and just be like, "Oh, yeah, it's good.
Right.
This is good, this is bad," and it's, like, opposite. It's inverted, of course,
Yeah,
it is.
and then they
Crazy.
just can, export it as sugar. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
Nuts.
But I'm not saying that
Yeah,
happened.
okay,
I'm
no,
just
you're blowing my mind right now, so I'm like,
but
"Oh, crap."
but it may very well have a tie because, and I'll get into that another day, but
Oh,
we're
god.
giving
We
teasers.
have
We're giving
plenty of work. We have plenty
yes,
to
we
do.
do,
They
and we're
they
gonna have
are
fun doing
they do the
it.
job, yeah, plenty of job security or yeah, there's plenty. Cheese
Yes,
and rice.
so I
Anyways, alright,
do
well, how
have
do you wanna
um,
start
a
this?
presentation. Yeah, let me share
Okay.
my screen, so I will go there and let me
And if
get
you
the
will, just let me know, because I feel weird, not like usually I'm the one
what
that's
I can't
like,
see.
and I'm like, "Wow, I don't even know what to do." I've just been researching and throwing stuff together.
And if
But it's
you see something that you wanna say something, because I can't see you while I'm sharing, just tell me, and that is totally fine, because I don't mind
okay.
stopping, 'cause
And
it won't do good.
I will be the, chat's voice. So if y'all have questions
There
or
we
anything,
go.
or want me to pull
And
something up, or if it clicks for you for something in the cases or whatever, just let me
yes.
know
So
and I'll pull it
can
up.
you see Joseph okay? Can you
I
see
can't
that?
see let me add it to the stage. How about that?
Oh, okay,
Yep,
perfect.
it's there. I'm gonna drop the
Alright.
banner real quick. Alright.
So anybody that doesn't know the story, I like to start off with the narrative, right? Fun fact, there are 4 of these
Fun
narratives.
fact.
This is just the one they picked, right? So, um,
Yeah.
I mean, I always find that humorous because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, it's already starting sketchy from the get-go." But I don't think, like most people, that Joseph Smith was a grand, deceptor, even though he was later, but I actually think he was something different. Everybody thinks he was high on mushrooms, everybody thinks he was crazy or
Something.
whatever. I don't. I think he was something else. So,
I
I
think he
like
was
to
set
share
up.
my
That's my little
yeah,
conjecture.
well,
I
that
think he
too,
was,
that
like,
too.
set up, or it was like, they always need a fall guy, and, I mean,
Oh,
so that has
that
crossed my mind. I've even questioned, did they do this to Jesus too? Like, did they
ugh,
create look, and I don't come at me. I'm just saying I believe in God. She believes in God, like, I I
yes.
I get it, but I'm just like the Bible, the scriptures, because of this case and everything that's happened and how they manipulate the scriptures, they exploit everything, right?
Mhm,
And
yep.
and so I'm just like, did they create that? The character, I must just say character, just hear me out, to did they create Jesus to then manipulate people with that? With him,
I think
with the
I think
shedding of the blood and, like, all the blasphemy. I don't know. It's so
I think if
crazy.
they did that, I think maybe what they would have done instead is make us believe it wasn't real, so we won't believe in our own redemption. That's even a better
Right?
trick.
Well, I mean, and so that's very angering too for me and sad, disheartening
Mhm.
whenever, through this experience, I've seen so many people. I'm like, they leave God altogether, and
Mm,
it just because
yeah,
they are just done, you
they're
leaving the
angry.
church, it's
Mhm.
because they're so intertwined. Joseph
It's
Smith is
so
not martyred, in my opinion. He's not, um, he's a human. He was you know what I mean?
yeah.
He's not a deity or any. I don't look at him like that. Never did.
No. No, and so
Um,
this is like the beginning of his story, and he was 14, and he says that he didn't know what church to join, so he prayed because he went out in the wilderness and he read the
no.
scripture, "Let you ask of God," and so he did, and he had a fit of darkness. Now remember this darkness fit because it's gonna come into play. But
Oh,
he
it
had a fit
does.
of darkness, yes, come over him, and he saw God the Father and the Son. Now, you have to know that Mormons believe that God the Father and the Son are separate people as well as the Holy Ghost.
And
They're
God walked the earth as a man,
not,
and
and
he had
and
some coitus with Mary. Okay,
yes, absolutely. That happened. Yes. And so
praise.
when this happened, he was 14, but then also they said don't join any of the churches because this angel Moroni came and he wanted to talk to Joseph Smith. Now right now we have an immediate problem because we're going to get into a word definition.
Okay.
Moroni is an angel. However, Joseph said
Mhm.
he was a man that walked the earth and was not like God. He wasn't a god. He was actually a person that died and was a native American, but he was all white now, which I find very
Basically a
interesting.
familial, right? Familial
It's a
spirit.
spirit, and
Not family, but familiar, like,
oh,
yeah. Hmm,
and it's necromancy, and so put
interesting.
that in your back
Mm.
pocket because that's gonna
Cool,
come
we
in.
know a grave digger. Hmm.
We do,
And
and
some
so
crematorium, sorry.
yes, definitely, and it's
Oh
all
my
gonna come into
gosh.
play because it's super interesting because he tells him about the plates, but it also isn't like they tell you like, "Oh, boom, all of a sudden one day the plates were there." No, this took years, and so, this story wasn't all at once, and this is Moroni on top of the temples. Most of the time,
We
they
know.
have it now, sometimes they don't. They're kind of changing it because more and more people are starting to recognize that possibly, oh, he wasn't an angel, he was a dead guy. And so, just for fun
I
fact,
have
you
a
guys,
theory.
Joseph, yeah, he saw 23 apparitions and or dead people, by the way.
I'm
What was
surprised
your
it's
theory?
not 33. I mean,
Right?
yeah, I'm like 30
Yeah,
except
no,
it's
I
everybody's
get it.
33. John Pontius is 33 when I mean,
Mhm.
everybody was 33 when they're recalling all those long ass stories that are way too long, and you're like, "Oh my god, they're explaining everything in grave detail."
Like
I
the
mean, that
Freemason.
is a Mormon thing.
Ha, ha,
I
ha.
mean, no,
Yeah.
just, like when I
No,
guess,
I
like,
mean, yeah,
when,
that's
like,
the thing.
a lot of women in that I've run across in this, and they go to make a post or tell the story, they tell it like they would be at the pulpit or something, or,
Right,
they because
right,
they never get to talk, is
right.
my theory,
So,
but
we have
oh,
yeah. Oh,
I
sorry,
already
go ahead.
what okay, so what did you just say, like, about the
Oh,
wha
Moroni?
he
So
saw
we were just
okay, oh, alright, that's what it was, I'm
so
sorry.
no, you're good, and
Moroni
then
okay, go ahead, I'm just gonna
so
wait.
this
Wait.
no, you're good. Lucy Mack Smith is also, important to understand. We have to understand a little bit about Joseph Smith's family. And to do that, we have to like understand what they're talking about in their daily lives or what they're known as. And he was a treasure digger. He was a known treasure digger, and so was his dad. And actually, when Joseph Smith was born, he ran around the whole and this is a written fact. He ran around the
Listen.
town saying that Joseph was going to be a seer because he was born in a caul, which means he was born in the amniotic bag. And so this was a big
Oh,
deal. And they like to call all
what?
these things that I'm going to tell you folk magic, but I don't think it is. And I'll explain why. But this is a little excerpt from Lucy's and Lucy Mack, if you notice the name, right? Scottish. And his dad was Joseph Smith Sr., but his dad's dad is named, wait for it, guys, Azael, not Azazel, but damn close. So I find
No.
that super interesting. And why would you name like your kid if you were the super Christian people um after a fallen angel that like gave us all the weapons of war and stuff? Like
Right,
I mean, it's it is what it is. But
right.
fine, we have to understand this family, right? Like what is going on with this family? And so she writes this little letter to somebody else. And I wanted to just read this little part because it's interesting. And it says, "Let not my reader suppose that because I shall pursue another topic for a season, that we stopped our labor and went at trying to win the faculty of a brack, drawing
Mhm.
magic circles, or soothsaying to the neglect of all kinds of business." Sound. So she's like basically saying, we aren't lazy. We're not just treasure digging. I mean, we're doing other stuff. But
Right.
mentions something, right? She mentions the
Yeah.
word brack, and a brack can be traced back to Abraxas. And
Isn't it like
Abraxas
dirty or whatever in that like brackish water or something? Um,
Abraxas is chicken snake god. And so it's
oh hell.
a yep, it's a
Oh, there
god.
he is.
And
Okay.
yes, he is. It's a very
Ugh.
type thing to talk about, like these fallen angels and then Abraxas and House of Abrax, and that's where we get the word abracadabra from. And so,
Snakeskin. He's wearing snakeskin boots. I'm just
right?
picking.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
He's got a live snakes on his
Wait, that's
feet.
a
And
chicken
so
or a rooster and okay. Yeah, I'll
yeah,
have to decipher
there's
that later.
oh, it's interesting. And
Weird.
that we could do a whole thing on Abraxas too, because there's
He
a
has a
whole other
whip.
with that.
Is that a
He
whip
does.
and a, is
Yep.
that a
And a
drum? I don't
shield,
know what that discus or
a
is it
little
a
shield. Yeah, I
oblique?
gotta get a
Okay.
better picture of him. Yeah, but it's a shield, and
Okay.
you guys can look up, like, some of the background on him, but one thing about Abraxas is he is a necromancer. So,
Mm.
remember that because this is gonna come into play. So
What
oh,
year?
my computer went crazy. I don't know why it does that. Uh
Because
yeah. So this is the story I was told. I'm 48 this year, and all my life I was told that these glasses, the Urim and Thummim, and Joseph Smith had just been this studious guy, got these plates, and it was all wonderful. And he just is writing stuff down, and that's how it was, right? Like, and
Mhm.
so we saw the South Park episode, and I don't know if people have, but if you have, it's pretty funny because we all
Is the best.
know, yeah, it's actually true. I remember when it came out thinking, "Oh, that's not true." Like, I I
That's
I
not
was like,
right.
"Touch my pearls," but, like, they got
Oh.
really mad about it, and they were like, "Oh, that's not how it happened." Okay, so we get to now, and all of a sudden, last year, so remember this little picture here and this
Okay.
picture here, this is important. This is how things really were. It wasn't with those glasses, it wasn't with the breastplate of righteousness. And to prove it, all of a sudden they dropped the
Mhm.
bull crap. And Russell M. Nelson, which is this guy, he is the current prophet, seer, and revelator of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints, who is 100, by the way.
Oh
Um,
my god, right.
Oh, right, yeah, and he pulls this hat out of the vault, and it's never been seen. Remember, we didn't believe this happened. This was
I
not a
did.
thing.
Just making
And so right? I was like, "This South Park life, whatever." And then he pulls out the hat last year out of the deep, dark dungeons of the vaults and puts it on
There
for
we
a photo
go.
op, and all of us that are over 35 went, "What? This is real?" Like, we didn't know. We really didn't
Lori
know, and
Lori
so
still doesn't know. Somebody tell her so we can break
no,
her shelf,
probably
please.
not. Yeah.
Somebody needs to break
It's
her
so
shelf.
bad. And so that happened, and then
I
they
don't
also
understand this.
dropped the story on, like, the whole rock thing because they used to just say he used those glasses, but that's not true. So what is true is Willard Chase is his neighbor, and Willard Chase found this rock while digging a well with Joseph, and Joseph said, "Hey, can I borrow that?" And he never gave it back. So Mormonism is literally built upon a
Like a
stolen
crack
rock.
rock.
It's
Oh, wow.
and if you and we're gonna get into what it probably really is. He
How do
had
they
many of
see how do you look through a rock or how does a rock tell you anything? I've been trying to wrap my head
so
around that. I'm like, "What do they do? Do they glow?
I'm
Do
I'm
they
pretty
make a
sure
face?"
it's like crystal channeling, and we'll get into what John Dee did, but
Okay.
he did have
Yeah.
5 of these. We have not seen all of them, and I find it interesting that they say the brown one was his favorite because there's a
It
white one that they've never shown. This one they'll show, the brown one they'll show, but this one right here is, said to be made of quartz, and it
it's
is
pretty
only an
aggressive
artist rendition because they won't let anyone see it. Why won't they let anyone
because
see
it's
it?
powerful. They
Exactly.
pet it at night. They're like,
Exactly.
"That's my pet rock."
I think maybe so, because what they do is they put it in a hat and he blocks out all the light, and then he tells people, the
That's Chad
characters, if
Daybell's
you go
backyard.
it
That's
it
what I
probably
see
is.
every time I see these circle these southwest wind that was Googled whenever, Tylee had just been, you know, murdered, all the things, okay? And then
Yes.
he's Googling on September 8th, 2019, southwest wind direction. And then the next day, after Tammy goes to work on a Monday, he and Alex are in the backyard in a circle, just
Wow.
like that one. Tylee's necklace was found not far from the burn from the fire pit. And I mean,
Uh,
that's also a very occultic, very
oh, yeah.
ritualistic thing.
There's
I don't know if it's
probably
on
some
purpose or
things
not.
there's probably some things that we will never know that may have
I
gone
don't
with that.
know. I just want to know the
I
most
think
of it.
you're right, but I think you're right about the possibly like a magic circle, and we'll get
Go
there,
get
but this is like the real, like how it really was. Like, it wasn't that studious book, it was blocking out light, stick your head in a hat type sitch. So,
Thank God for
um
TV, right? Just
yeah, no kidding, right? They blew the top
kidding.
off that. So
Yeah,
this is a Solomonic seal, and I did not know that for a long time. I'm gonna get
turns
into
out.
that, and you're only the 3rd person I've ever told this to, because I figured it out along the way studying the
Heidi,
occult, because
I was just getting there though, because I was looking into the book of life. That's where they judge who can live, who can die. There's the book of death, right? So as above, so
Mhm.
below. And I mean, in the book of plagues, the book of breathings, I mean, like all those things go in book of Revelation, book all of them. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
wow. Just it's interesting as all get
It's
out.
well,
Just
and I
gotta
think
know
it
what to
really
look for, you know?
yes, I think it really is gonna tie into
How
magical
do you
practices, and I mean, I'm pretty sure, and this is, a day that they were treasure digging, and they said this is actual account. Now, the nice thing about Joseph Smith is he got in enough trouble with the treasure digging that they actually took him to court, so these are affidavits. This isn't like some baloney story from his neighbor 20 years later, blah, blah, blah. This is an
yeah.
affidavit, and this is entered into a court of law on his treasure digging court case. So you guys can look this up. This is his rendition of what happened that night. They left
Wow.
out the one part of
Mm,
slicing open their darkest, I believe it was a sheep or goat throat, and let it
goat.
bleed all over the circle. And
It was
so
a goat.
that
Yeah.
that is bananas. And when you know about occultism,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. So they
It's
try
crazy.
to distance themselves from it, right? The church is like, "Oh, it's not
Yeah.
magic." Oh,
It's not
and then it
fruitful.
will look
It's not good for
bad.
their image.
Yeah, it looks bad, and so they said, "Oh, those were Hirams." Okay, you guys, I'm gonna tell you why they weren't Hirams right now, because
They look like
people
Triscuits.
will say yeah, right? This is an old crappy picture. Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
silly thing.
Let's
And
Oh,
so
yeah, the man purse thingy. Oh, okay,
yes,
back.
yes. And so this is the real photo, and then this is a better
I've
drawing
seen
of
that.
or
I've
like
seen that right
photo of it.
there, the round
Yes,
thingy, the
we'll get
spiral.
to each.
Now
Yes,
the
let's
thing
do
in the
each one.
middle, that reminds me of Knights Templar, and that's Tim Ballard,
Yes,
Sean Reyes, Paul Hutchinson, and, Eduardo Verástegui. I don't know, I suck at saying his name.
right.
They were knighted, okay, and then Jason, like, clicked together the other night, and he was like, "Krisha," he was like, they were knighted?" I was like, "Yeah." It's been, like, Paul's 5th time or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And so I was just telling him that, like, I wanted to look it up and just kinda get the basics of it, and I know it's
Yeah.
way up there in the occultic arena, and so he was like, "Queen Elizabeth
Do you Oh,
she
Queen
would have had
Elizabeth
to have
died.
knighted them like she did Elton John," and I was like, "We're gonna be murdered," is what I said,
I know,
and
I get nervous
he
too,
did
don't
he. I'm
yeah.
just saying, I hope they wax his ass. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I hope
right?
Tim's shaking in
Exactly.
his, Nephilim boots. Just pick
Exactly. What a
little
what
short
you reap,
man.
you sow. What you reap, you
Yeah.
sow. And so
Okay.
this
All
is
right.
an actual parchment that was found, and I want to make a case for Hiram really quick. Now, remember this magical family with the grandpa Azael. Let's not forget the brother Hiram, like Hiram Abiff. I mean, these
That's
people are
M. Russell Ballard's kinfolk. I
it's
mean, that's
very
his direct lineage, right? So,
yeah, and so masonry is definitely, I mean, all were known masons. Hiram went to college and he was a very studious, like they want to make out these people like they were backwoods, couldn't read, couldn't do anything. No, no, no. Okay, his brother wasn't involved in the treasure digging. His brother was off at Dartmouth College. And
yeah.
you don't just go to Dartmouth
No.
and you're
Well,
backwoods.
they didn't have
Okay, guys.
scholarships, okay? I'm just, okay, yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
scholarships this year. We're gonna announce it on the, the Pony Express. No.
Yes, they were
Okay, come
connected.
on now.
Connections. Yep, and he may have got a scholarship by connection. I don't think they were a rich family, but I will say this, they were not an unlearned family because
Right.
their mother was a Scottish healer. She was known to be a Scottish healer. The brothers off to Dartmouth, and Joseph's Jr. and Sr. are the treasure diggers. So these sigils that I'm showing you were found on the presence of the men when they died in that little purse that you wear around your neck, which is very occultic.
A
And
man purse.
so, yeah, they're for protection, right? And so what is important here is and everybody can zoom in on this later and go over each one, but this is Solomonic magic, and I'm going to show you guys all about it here in just a second. But this is not folk magic. That's bullcrap. It's bullcrap,
Okay.
and they know it. And so
Don't
that
let
is
them do that.
yeah.
Don't let them try and spin it like they try to do everything else. They
They
can't call magic crazy, so they have to discredit it somewhere, in my opinion.
yep,
I'm not a
they have
professional,
to
not an
make them
expert,
seem
but
backwoods. Yeah.
we're not dumb
Mm.
either. I'm sick of that shit. Move.
I think I
Time to
was
move
dumb for a
on.
while because I
I
believed
mean,
it.
yeah, we all
But
were, but it's like, you know what? You've been like, shame on wait, what does George Bush, mess up?
right,
Fool
right,
me
right.
once, shame on me. I
Yeah,
always say it backwards too, so
don't don't be
what he
shame
said.
yeah, I won't do it
What
again.
he
Yeah.
said.
And so Joseph also, they try to say those parchments were Hiram's. Okay, if what I just told you about the family is the dad and Joseph
Right.
were the treasure diggers, these are directly related to treasure digging. Why would the studious college brother have them or care? No, it
Right.
was just when people die, they split stuff up, and
Yeah.
it was something that Emma didn't want. Okay, but this Emma did want because this was one of his most intimate possessions, according to Emma Smith. And this, my friends, is the Jupiter talisman. You don't wear a talisman if you are a Christian like this, because this it's called the Jupiter talisman for a reason, because it is the third pentacle of Jupiter in the lesser greater keys of Solomon. So when we're talking about this, and if you hear this part, that it will defend and protect those who invoke and cause the spirits to come. They try to play it off like, oh, it's to protect him against other people doing that to him. No, it
Weird.
says who invoke. Okay, that means you're bringing them here. So he was working directly with spirits, and that I don't know why that keeps doing that, but it keeps doing
What?
that. So and my
Oh.
computer goes do 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 and goes like through all my pictures. I'm not sure why. So
Just
this
not unplug it. Just
I know, right? This
right.
one here, if you look at those sigils on the first one I showed, they're both on there. This right here is not from Joseph Smith. This is from Sibley's Book of Witchcraft. Okay. So if
Sounds
there
like
was a
Ripley's.
doubt what Joseph was up to,
Mhm.
I mean, it's on the title. And it's a very old book, and it would be in the right time frames. And this is part
Mhm.
of the Keys of Solomon. I was looking for a PDF of the Keys of Solomon, and funny enough, and I think the photos in here, I found one. It's free online, you guys. Guess who uploaded it? BYU.
Ah, you got him on a good day.
right? I'm like, "What
They
are you
they are
doing?"
they
You
I
know,
call them the scrubbing bubbles, okay? I've
uh,
never seen scrubbing bubbles work so damn fast and good and
uh,
efficient. Woo!
yep,
Yeah,
it
that's
is
why my
crazy.
storage is so full because I screen record,
Yep.
everything because, no, I
It's
don't trust
wild. Like, what
it.
is a Christian college doing uploading, occultic magical practices books?
They didn't want it
Okay,
anymore.
I guess not. And so here is some of the things that were also on that first parchment called the Holiness to the Lord parchment. Holiness to the Lord is also on the temple itself. And some of these are angels, and some of these are when they say the intelligence of Mars or the intelligence of
Okay.
Jupiter, that is a demon. So
Okay, I
that's just
saw
a
that
nice way to
earlier.
say that.
Holy shit.
Any Yep, anytime they say
Wow.
intelligence of, it means it's lesser than an angel and
Oh
it is
my
a demon.
god.
And so these are, I believe a few things. I believe Joseph opened a portal. I believe Joseph saw angels and or mostly fall. I think he saw fallen angels. I think they lied to him. And if you know anything about this guy named John D, who is here, he is the king of all this stuff because this is where it starts. And John D is
Sounds like a
Queen
DJ or
Elizabeth,
something.
right? Queen
Yeah.
Elizabeth first. He was not part of the court, but his dad was. But he was basically the guy she went to get all of her advice, especially with astronomy. He was super smart. He was all about math. He's also the first guy to bring up New World Order stuff. Just FYI, this is in
Alright.
the
Second
hundreds.
coming.
Yep. And he
Jeez.
is very integral because what he did is he channeled angels, but this is my case for them being fallen. He worked with this workings for over 8 years. I think it was 8 with one and 7 with the other. And he and Edward Kelly were in the midst of talking to the angels, writing all this
Okay.
stuff. They bring So it was his assistant. And so they bring through the Enochian alphabet, which is considered to be the language
Enoch.
of angels. Mhm.
Yeah.
And the problem with it is I'm going to ask you guys if
All
you
kinds
think
of
this
problems.
is good or bad, right? Because he thinks he's like channeling real angels from heaven, not fallen angels. But then all of a sudden they are like, well, you know what would be a great idea is if you guys would swap wives. Okay,
And
at that
now we see it
point,
on Hulu. I mean, here we are. Ta
yeah. At
ta.
that point, I'm saying you have to go. I don't think God would like that, right? Like, I don't think real angels would have me do that, and he didn't want to.
Yet here
His
we
wife
are. Here
Yeah,
we are,
his wife
Heidi.
hated, Edward Kelly and did not wanna sleep with him, and also, this poor guy goes through with it, which is not his bad, but then he has to raise Edward Kelly's son the rest of his life because she gets pregnant,
Wow.
and
And there
so
weren't
there's
taxes
always
then, so just picking.
and there's always
Oh,
a price to pay, and apparently the baby looked exactly like the guy, so it was like
oh,
yeah, so
that
these are
sucks.
some of the stuff on there, close up for you guys on the first parchment. Like I said, the 2 up there. Now when they're in a
Oh,
ring, there's Solomonic
I
magic, but
I gotta tell
they're
you,
closed.
Chad and
Yeah,
Lori, Chad and they would text these symbols to each other, and I mean, it goes par for the course, right? Because they would do the
right.
male-female energy, and what I read earlier in the Temple of Doom's book, that he was talking about the temple, going through the temple and all the things, and so he talked about how it's basically a circle, and I mean, I've seen it. We've seen it, if you've been following me for sure.
You're
And
gonna
I
see it
mean,
today. Mhm.
right. But so, oh shoot, I keep forgetting. I hate that. What was it? Oh, so it was a male. They would send each other the emojis, male, female. And so I just want to know that. And I think it's important for you to know that there's also this other theme that was going on. There's the 7 gatherers that was going on. There's the Chad and Lori's group or whatever, their sector was
Uh-huh.
over healing and like I forget the in music. Okay, and I'm just
Oh,
like, okay, so
music's
what are
really
the other
important.
departments? Well, this goes into the color green. Raphael. Chad was
Green is
Raphael.
also
He
the
they called
color
him
for
Raphael,
Satan.
right?
Yeah,
Exactly. The
Lucifer.
things that I saw on Dan Vogel's that whatever last night.
Yes.
I mean, I was like, well, there's because I always try to look at the days of the week because I have found this kind of stuff all over,
Oh, yeah.
academia and papers and everywhere, even the rating system. How many
Every
billions
holiday.
are out there? How many bishops? How
Yeah.
many girls and boys? And I'm just like, I know it's not Chad's. I've seen it elsewhere. And I mean, again, he used it, yes,
Mhm.
but it's
He
not
didn't make
his.
it
And
up.
that's
No.
worrisome, okay? That's the dark art
Yes.
people. So I just
Yes,
want
and
you to
that
know that. So Tuesdays were a big thing for them.
okay.
Tuesdays, okay, which I thought it would be a Wednesday, but anyways, Tuesdays were huge, so huge that Lindsay Blake she brought it up in the trial, said that they were important, and I mean, so they were accentuating this aspect of it, and so I'll try and maybe make a little,
Yeah,
thumbnail or something for next time,
like a
but I think
yeah, that would be
maybe
good.
next time or something we can go over the documents that were released from Ian Pulowski about their belief system, and,
Okay.
it's a good little 4 pages of weird stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Wormholes,
let's check that out
portals,
because 'cause I've been maybe I can
fairies.
see some mhm.
Oh, yeah. It's
Well,
crazy.
and honestly, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because they were working directly. So the 2 top seals, they're shut in a circle, and that means he's controlling them. And I'll explain to you that this mean
Mm,
that they don't like this. Okay, that means they're bound, and they don't like to be bound to have to do anything. But when they're open, like the Raphael star, that means he has a
like
direct
this.
relationship. Mhm. And he is working
Mhm.
directly, openly, and not controlling that. And so that's really important because you have to remember that thing may have said it was Raphael, but it could have lied. They told John D and Edward Kelly that they were all kinds of things, and then they are wife
Yeah.
swapping next they know.
I
And
was told
not
there was Santa
only
Claus and Tooth Fairy and stuff, okay? I mean, get it.
Yep, and not only
Yeah.
that, but they were, like, mean to them all the time. They would say things like, "You stink. Go take a bath. Go get married," and then he got married because they threatened to kill
Bullies.
him if he didn't get married, the other
Bullies.
guy, his assistant, and so he
Mm.
did because he was scared because one time, they actually had a sword come out of a book and stab him, like,
What
in the
the hell?
face. Like, these things are brutal, and one time I talked to a Jewish guy that's a doctor of
Not
esoterics
Abraham
on
Giuliani, huh?
no, it was, Doctor
Okay, good.
Justin Sledge on
Okay.
Esoterica, which is a great channel to explain a lot of this stuff, but he said, in, Jewish, when we would rather deal with demons all day long than angels, they're terrifying.
That's
So, I mean, take
crazy.
that for what it's worth. I've heard just the opposite from other people, but I'm just
Interesting.
saying, like, interesting, right?
Fair.
So he is working with these things. And this is actually the sign on the next one, but I want you to see that these are actual like entities. And this one is called
What?
Juban Lades. Yes, they're all
Mm,
entities. And look it's not in a seal. So this one is they're worn with a layman
okay.
around the neck for protection, like we saw the little bag, they call it a layman. And the thing
Yeah.
is to ward off infection and death and all this because he had gotten really sick as a child, Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
He had, and it had gone systemic through him and it went into his leg and he did have a limp the rest of his life. And so it doesn't surprise me that
Jump
this
the
entity shows up. Yeah, it doesn't
limb.
surprise me at all. But if you believe in God, why would you need all this, right?
Right. Or if he was speaking
Does
through you, then yeah, I'm right there with you.
Mr. I'm the prophet. Yeah. And this is
Yeah,
the
you're not
little proof that the BYU literally uploaded these occult books. And
grab a
so
white man.
kind of funny.
Good
Yeah.
snag. Good
Yeah.
snag.
Right? I'm like, "What?"
Mhm.
So, this is also one that I find interesting because in recent years, Mormonism has adopted this new symbol, and it's called the Star of Rampham. But it also
Um,
symbolizes this pentacle to the left from the greater keys of Solomon, and this is called the Great Pentacle. Now, the problem with this is if you'll notice, even though the church itself calls it the seal, funny enough, of Melchizedek, does it
Yeah.
have a circle around it? Nope. Well,
Circle
the
of
Star
Trust.
of Rampham is not a good thing, but Melchizedek is. So, like you said, they always invert, right? They're taking things and
Oh,
flipping it around
everything.
all the time. Yep.
Everything. From
So
words
this is
to
oh,
everything.
all of
Probably their
it.
underwear, you know?
Baptism. Oh, even yeah, for sure, the underwear.
That's
And
great.
then this is the next parchment in the group, and this is called the Jehovah parchment. But you have to
That's
remember something. Jehovah doesn't always mean Jesus,
no, it
people.
does not. Hey, Jeannie.
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
And so
Yeah.
it can be scary. And there's also a seal again. We're talking about the greater and lesser keys of Solomon. We've got the Maltese cross on here. Again, we're going back to Rosicrucianism. We have to look
$10.
at symbols, right? Symbols speak. Yes. And I believe that there is, I'll just tell you guys now, and I'm doing a really deep dive, and Kresha knows. I believe that the problems that the church has had in the pedophilia range with the Pace memo and all the things, I believe that there is a separate sect inside of the
You
church
do?
that continued this
Mm,
stuff, and it's at the highest levels. And that is why I believe once Lori met Chad, he had
yeah, obviously.
connections because of the books, and he was already in, these groups
So
and
look who
speaking.
that like just stop for a second and like think about that ladder and who it went up to,
Mhm.
and like who
Yep.
invest I mean, because Tim and Chad, they and Julie and all three of those people, and Jody Hildebrand as well, they all met with
M.
Tom
Russell
Harrison.
Ballard
And
and M.
that's M.
Russell
Russell
Ballard.
Ballard, and then you have, Rasbin, who allegedly invested into, one of Tim Ballard's slaves, the for-profit entity, as well as
Yes.
Elder Gay. There's one on emeritus or whatever status,
Well,
and, allegedly.
Dad Elder Gay's dad helped build Las Vegas, and I'll tell you,
There you
he's part of
go.
the Mormon Mafia, and we will do an exposé on that.
I can't
And
wait.
that all connects to CIA, and it is not alleged. It's
And
real.
maybe we
I've
can
got,
find
like,
out
docs. Mhm.
maybe we can find out if that tip I'd gotten from, someone a couple years ago now, if Chad and Lori actually
We're
invested
starting to break
some of
up now.
their blood money into a Vegas corporation, organization, something.
Yep, does not
I can't
surprise me
wait. Oh my
one.
god. We're going Mormon
So
Mafia.
oh, we're doing the Mormon Mafia. And so this right here, people will look at it and say, "Well, he was talking to God." Well, don't count
Was
your chickens
he?
before they hatch. Yeah. And then
The
this
chicken.
this is also talking about the parchments and who they likely belong to and when they died and everything and that they were with them. And so this right here, I used to think it was Baphomet, but I've actually found the symbol that it is. Oh my gosh, I wished it would stop. I'm telling you
Slow your roll,
guys. Oh, yeah, e except it
girl. We
won't let me go
will. We'll find
back.
him through all
Let
this. I
me
promise you, Jeannie. We're gonna find him
yes,
in all
let me
this.
go back.
She says, "I wish
Okay.
someone could
Oh,
do hold on, a comment real quick." She says, "I wish someone could do a deep dive on Tom Harrison. That man is no good, in
oh,
my opinion." Somebody had put in
absolutely
my
not.
comments a while back that let's not forget that Tom Harrison is the godfather of satanic ritual abuse. I mean, and I'm like,
Absolutely.
"Oh, that's pretty powerful." Whomever said that,
Yep.
you get a star. So, I mean, I
Yes.
feel like we'll run across
Oh,
the
we're gonna
the those
it's all
peeps
gonna
along this
yes, it's
journey.
all gonna join together. And
Woo.
so this is another angel. They say it's a good angel, but I'm
Me
sorry.
too.
These things lie. You have to remember, does the devil play fair? Let's get real.
No.
I mean, come on.
He cannot create anything, he cannot do what God does or what God creates, but he's the master deceiver, okay?
Mhm.
And remember whenever
So,
Lori said, "If Chad is a Satan, he is sure is a good one?" That's
mhm.
very that didn't last. That didn't
Yep,
fare well.
exactly.
Oh,
And this is another, so again, another open, not sealed entity. Plus, this is another from Sibley's Book
oh,
of Magic from Scott, the Francis Scott Barrett's like Magus, you know.
I
And
want y'all
so,
to realize that this photo behind it, the moon, okay?
oh,
Now,
sorry, let me go back.
I wanted to,
Yeah.
I wrote this down to tell you. Now, just like with Idaho has their state seal, we've looked at it quite a lot over the past 5 years. There is a pitchfork, there is
Mm.
a shovel, and right here you have the man in the very front, on a full moon, and it's right by a tree. I'm just saying, I'm just looking at all the symbolism in
So,
that. And Tylee, the only thing that had Tylee's DNA on it was a pickaxe in Chad's. I mean,
mm,
we're talking this baby girl was dismembered. I
ugh,
want to know where the time where her crime scene is. Okay, she did not get killed or murdered in her mom's apartment or her nowhere in an. You cannot fool me with that. And then
mm-mm.
all of her remains aren't together. They're
That's
not
because they,
together.
well, I can tell you that M. Russell Ballard is a member. He is the
He's a
prophet,
bone
seer, and
collector.
revelator.
Mhm.
He is a member of Skull and Bones, and his daughter is the direct one mentioned in the Pace memo, and so is her husband. And so you
No,
guys have to
wait, M. Russell Ballard or Nelson? Nelson, right?
Nelson.
Both of them are Skull and Bones. Both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is
I was like, "Wait."
it is in his own autobiography. And that Skull and Bones
Mm,
chapter was set up by actual Yale people that came out here and
yep,
set it up.
a
So
whole
it
branch.
was not sanctioned, but it was basically the same. And he also is a member of Owl and Key, which is very similar to Yale's Scroll and Key. And I'm
The
sorry, but
Rotary
he
Club
is
too, right?
Oh, that gets
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, his
we're
dad
gonna
was.
go there.
Yeah.
We will
I'm
go
so
there
excited.
because that's gonna
Yeah.
tie in with the financials, with the whole when we get into financials, and
It's
it's
nuts.
crazy. So, and then
I get
also
so
this
excited.
ceremonial dagger was there, and it also has occultic engravings on it with the intelligence of Mars on it. And again, when we hear intelligence, remember that is a demon.
That's a
Um,
devil.
and they put those things on the knife so that they don't have to say anything when they do the sacrifice because it's already there. And so, yeah, it's very
What? Say
interesting.
that again, because
So
I was typing. Say
so
that again.
when the little insignia is on the knife, they don't have to stop and say their ritual because
Bippity
it's
boppity
already
boo.
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
already on it. So it's an immediate
That happened
like
in
I
Koberger's case too, like, that's, like, the one thing that was left behind was the whatever you just said, insignia.
mhm.
Right, guys? I mean, I
Well,
didn't really follow that case too well, but that's another Idaho murder or
and
murders.
in occult,
Mm,
communities, you have to have your cup, you have to have your knife, you have to have I wanna know where
the things,
I'm sure it's
all
in the
the
vaults,
things that
but
they
yeah. So, again, intelligence of Mars, is a demon, but there's more than that on
they
here, and just because you see the name Adonai, you assume it might mean God, it doesn't always mean
mm-mm.
what it
Mhm.
appears to mean, so also, this is just another one, like I was explaining, ceremonial daggers are with occult and religious symbols on them, and it's there for you guys to see. So, very interesting.
Mm.
Here's the real up close of it on the handle, and these graphs are also part of um, Barrett's the Magus, and so you know, these have different meanings, and they'll always say, "Well, they mean this and they mean that," and it's just protection and da da da. And here again, you can see the male signal right here, just like you were talking
Yeah, I
about
was
them.
like, it kinda looked like an airplane or a point or you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Yep, this
um,
is the male sign in, medical terms. So,
wow.
it's right there. Then also, we get back to the necromancy because this really ran in the newspaper, and I'll just summarize it, you guys can read it word for word after, but basically this says, "We're gonna dig up our son because he died, and well, you guys said we did something to him, so we're gonna dig him up and show you we didn't." What? Yes, they said they were gonna dig
That
him
sounds
up.
that the tactics sound so familiar, I'm just throwing that out there. You know,
Yes, so weird.
it's a pattern for the behaviors of these people.
Well, and also, you know the story of Joseph Smith going in the middle of the night to meet the angel, all
Necromancer.
dressed in black. Yeah, but he wanted Alvin to come, but Alvin died. So everybody jokes that Alvin probably had a hand in Mormonism because they dug him up.
Hmm. And
I
or he was
mean, that's
sacrificed or some kind of
he was sacrificed
ritual
before that.
sacrifice,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean,
They
and I
they
want
say
to
he
point
died
this
of
out.
constipation. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, oh, I feel like it sometimes, I'm
Mm.
just saying.
But
But, like,
that's also
I feel
ritual.
it's
Yeah.
important to share that Chad or that Lori had revelation on September 22nd, which is the same date that
Yes.
Joseph Smith had received his alleged whatever,
Yes.
revelation,
The
and
plate.
so there was a text message from Zelima to Lori saying, "Oh, well, that may that's your revelation." And I mean, I'll have
Mhm.
to go find those another time. That's crazy.
And he received the plates on that date, and he was dressed all in black. He was doing it in the middle of the night. He even borrowed a black horse. That's why the neighbors knew, because he was going around asking to borrow people's black horse, and it was, like, really
Mm-mm-mm.
strange. This goes back to the affidavit in the treasure digging case with Willard Chase. If you guys wanna look it up, you can, and he talks about this, and so, I mean, you have to understand this is very strange. This is actually his citation from the court case. So that
Mm-mm.
is very real,
Glass flicker.
and
You in trouble.
so
Oh my
he
gosh.
also had
Ooh,
not written down just plain letters.
those are
He
pretty
was
at least.
writing down characters, and this top one is John Dee's angel language that he got from channeling angels, and this bottom one is the Anton paper from when they took these characters in to Charles Anton to get them certified as Reformed Egyptian. Now, this is what they were doing, is writing like this, and it's very similar. It's not exact. I do believe they had their own little spin on it, but doesn't it make you wonder, maybe they knew the same angel there, and what happens with
No,
each
it
one of these.
validates me for thinking that they have code language. I mean,
Mhm.
just hearing Glenn Beck and learning that a long time ago in this case that, the Constitution's hanging by a thread. And I mean, I was just looking into that aspect of it just to kind of see where the names they're somewhere. They found, they didn't just make this up. They're not that intelligent. They're not that
No,
creative. They're not. They no, they take everything from everybody else. So, anyways, yeah,
exactly.
it
This
validates.
is a quick snippet. I'm gonna turn it down because it's really loud.
Yeah.
But this is a reenactment, everyone. But I've been to the temple. I can tell you that this is all real. They have taken some parts out. They took out the slitting of the throat, just so you guys know, and I'm pretty sure I know why. But this stuff is real. It's a 2-hour ceremony. This is just a tiny snippets, but this stuff is real.
What you are seeing is an authentic first-time ever on film reenactment of secret Mormon temple ceremonies that even most Mormons have never seen. And those who have sworn never to reveal these secrets under penalty of death.
The execution of the penalty is represented by placing the right thumb under the left ear, drawing the thumb quickly across the throat to the right ear, and dropping the hand to the side.
All of us who've been through the temple have sworn solemn oaths consenting to having our throat slit and our heart and our vitals torn out.
The execution of the penalty is represented by drawing the thumb quickly across the body and dropping the hands to the side.
In the Mormon temple marriage, the partners are sealed to each other for time and all eternity in Mason-like rituals. And without this ceremony, no one can enter the presence of Joseph Smith and become a god.
Pay, lay, ale. Brother Pratt, having authority, I wash you preparatory to receiving your anointings for and in behalf of John Kimball, who is dead, that you may become clean from the blood and sins of this generation.
Sister Bradford, I wash you preparatory to you receiving your anointings for and behalf of
Eliza Barrett.
Eliza Barrett, who is dead, that you may become clean from the blood and sins of this generation.
I wash your head, that your brain and intellect may become clear and active.
Your eyes that you may see clearly and discern between truth and error.
Thousands of occultic ceremonies each day are performed for the dead, so that they too can receive the benefits of Mormonism. Mormons are encouraged to have encounters with the dead, and it's not uncommon for demons impersonating the dead to appear to Mormons stating that they've been converted to the Mormon church in the spirit world and now want their family history traced.
Your loins that you may be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, that you may have joy in your posterity.
Your vitals and bowels, that they may be strong and healthy and perform their proper function.
Your breast, that it may be the receptacle of pure and virtuous principles.
Okay, they don't grab your boob, but
Okay.
like you get the
Oh.
point.
Well, hold on. I got to fix the layout real quick. How did I do this? There we go. Okay.
You're good. And so this is also a very real picture. These aprons are green. This is just a bad color. So this is what we really wear. The women apparently do not have to veil their faces anymore, so that's changed. And the death penalties are off the table because there was a lot of issues with that. And then this is
That
the one of many baptismal fonts, but this is
that freaks
for
me out.
the baptisms for
mean,
the dead, which
It
children
just don't
do.
look right. It don't look right. It don't look right.
Yep, very Solomonic, back to Solomonic magic, right? And on top of that, you have to be usually between the ages of 12 to 17. This is for pretty young kids to do. So I remember doing it and thinking it was very strange. You're doing it for dead people. They've done it for Hitler, for Hitler's mom. They've done it for Anne
And
Frank.
Frank.
Yeah.
Me, I'm
It's
sure me and
terrible.
you and everybody else. I mean,
Yeah, it's
oh my
you
gosh.
until you die, you're safe, but yeah. And then this is the way they're doing things in the temple. This is when somebody says that they're going to put your name on the temple prayer list, this is what they're going to do around it. So just be aware of that, people. I always say no, just you pray for me yourself because I'm good. But we do wear garments. These are the garments that you wear. They have a square and compass over each nipple, and the belly button. I always found it very interesting. It's over orifice openings, and I always
Yes.
wonder if they sewed something in the crotch because
So
it wouldn't
TC
surprise
is
me.
asking why the green apron.
So Satan gives us the green apron in our ceremony. They do an Adam and Eve ceremony, and they basically go through the creation story. And then at some point, you stand up
Inverted.
because they'll say, "Please rise," and everybody stands up, and you don't have your apron on yet. And they have Adam crying out to the Lord after he gets thrown out of the Garden of Eden, and he's asked for the God of this earth to hear him. And guess what? Satan shows up, and Satan says, well, you need to put on this apron because you're basically naked, and it's fig leaves, just so you guys know. So
Yeah.
Satan
Okay.
gives
So
it
that
to us.
answers TC. Thank you for that.
And they, I mean, I always thought, why are we doing what Satan wants us to do? Like that seems so strange. Like, and all in unison. I felt like that was very weird. Yeah. So
Oh my God. I've studied this so hard just to find what my aunt was saying to my uncle. I know she didn't just make it up. It was told to her. And yeah, we'll go there one day. But
I think so. I think there's something higher than that. And this is what Satan's apron used to look like. Now it's just black. But this also is kind of for the person that asked. The apron worn by the temple patron is green, which symbolizes life, like the tree of life, Kabbalah. But whatever.
I mean, yeah, my nephew's name, Lori changed his name from Canaan Todd to Joshua Jackson Vallow. Joshua, the tree. I mean, just all the things. And he was buried like really close under a tree. I mean, it's the symbols are crazy.
Oh, they're
Crazy,
all
crazy.
super Masonic and occultic. They're more than Masonic. And these are the Mason grips, but we don't have all of these. We have like 3 of these, but just for an example, how he flipped it into like Jesus talk. I like to say this one here is called the real grip of a master Mason or the lion's paw, but he changed it to the true sign of the nail and just moved it over to the wrist. And so yeah, he just Jesus him up a bit,
Poor
Here we
Jesus.
go.
Oh yeah.
This
George
is
Bush
Baby Bush,
is buds with George Bush
Thomas
is
S.
buds
Monson. Yeah.
with Thomas S. Monson, with Frank Vandersloot, who, bought East Idaho News from Bonneville Communications, and the
Wow.
church owned Bonneville Communications. Frank Vandersloot
That
bought that. They're
does
friends
not
right there.
surprise.
And he
Oh,
funded a lot of money to Mitt Romney's campaign. But we're gonna get there
mhm.
one day.
Well, Mitt Romney's gonna tie into Vegas because he's part of Sumacor, and
Woo
it's a
woo.
whole it's like a rabbit hole. But I
This
will
is
say this,
crazy.
as Mormons, we're never supposed to do these Masonic handshakes outside of the temple, and
No.
yet here he is doing what he's doing right in
And
front
to
of
think all the
everybody.
people that go to the temple that know this, that come from that town, this is
Mhm.
where I'm like, I understand, and I understand kind of the conundrum they're in, you know?
Mhm.
They don't know what they are doing or what they're involved
Right.
in.
You don't. You don't. As
And
a Mormon, I'll tell you what, I didn't know any of that.
yeah,
I
it's
didn't.
it's nuts, and it's so deceptive. It is so freaking deceptive and wrong, and a violation
It
of just your basic human rights, and that's just
At
one
least
one of them.
you should know what you're doing,
Yeah,
like, you should have
consent.
that choice. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And honestly, I felt like this is Russell M. Nelson. I felt like he was doing one of the keys on the key, because the way
Oh,
he's
yeah,
holding his
look. Mhm.
uh-huh, it was
They
sneaky,
look like
sneaky there. That
freaking, for Kentucky Fried
this is
Chicken. The
Yeah, and this is when
Colonel.
he, was in Italy for that opening, so that's interesting too. And these are all of the Masonic symbols that are on the Salt Lake City temple, but I
Yeah.
do believe they're
Can
scrubbing
I
it
share a
right
video?
now.
Hmm.
Huh?
I might go grab the video of Hannah Stoddard and Tim Ballard, on the History Channel.
I'm done.
Just
Yeah, I'm gonna
they're,
stop
like,
sharing right
belting it
now.
out to say that, these are not satanic. They've just turned it into something inverted, and so it's everybody else's fault, and they never they never, like, take right? Okay, I'm gonna pull it. I still have
Yep,
to pull it up,
yep.
though.
You're
Let
good.
me do
We'll
this.
just keep talking for a minute because I wanted to tell people a
Okay.
couple more things. So I wanted to tell you guys, like, other people that possibly got channeled information. Let's do some fun ones. So I already told you about John D. He's superiorly important for the Knights of Malta and the Rosy Cross and all that stuff. And it's really important that carries on and on. So his workings became many religions at some point. Well, we get to Joseph Smith. He sees an angel. The angel tells him to write stuff down. He writes it down. It becomes a religion. But what does he have to do? He has to do another sex thing. We get into polygamy. So, okay, let's do another one. Muhammad, he's talking to Gabriel and he's having fits of darkness. Remember, I told you put that in your back pocket. And when
Yeah.
he wakes up, he has visions. He tells them, they don't write it down because they were non-written people then, but eventually it gets written down. And
Mhm.
what happens with them? Polygamy and pedophilia. He had a
Wow.
6-year-old child bride that he consecrated at 9. And so, well, let's do a fun one that's not particularly religious.
Okay.
Aleister Crowley saw an alien, not an angel, and he said to write some things down, Awas in Egypt, and he did, and it became Thelema. Let's do Scientology. They're doing the Babylon workings
Mhm.
out there, and they're doing sexual stuff, and they said to write some things down, and then it becomes Scientology. Every one of these religions and or I mean, I guess you can call them all religions. Some are
Leaders.
evil, some are not.
Leaders,
Yeah,
let's
they
say.
all had to pay a price that God would not require. God does not require us to have sexual sex magic to go with what he says. He just says it and tells you to live well, right? Like, doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep.
So they all have books. I heard that somewhere, and I'm like, they all have written a book or books,
Yep.
and then they become
Yep.
these religious leaders, these, I mean, destructive, just horrible people, you know?
Leading you astray from
The
what
the
you're really
damage
supposed to be
continues.
doing. Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
It does.
And it's always a price, a sexual price, which many people have asked me about this new silly secret wives lives, Mormon lives, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just sex magic. But I will
It's
tell
been
you, like,
going. Yeah.
yeah, Salt Lake City, the Real Wives of Salt Lake City goes back to Gay, Elder Gay. You guys are gonna see all this stuff ties together.
Heather
So,
Gay. Right.
yep.
Right. Okay. Am I on the right? Okay. No, here we go. All right. So I have it up to 1.25 speed. Maybe they won't flag us. This is from the Joseph Smith Foundation. You'll see a few characters that we know, Hannah Stoddard and Tim Ballard. Watch them spin it.
A lot of the things that Masons do are things that are very familiar to Latter-day Saints who participate in temple worship. And the question we have to ask is, why did this group, first of all, why did they possess them? And that's a mystery. There's a lot of theory behind it. A lot of people believe that these symbols and signs of Masonry were preserved through the days of the ancient Israelites and Solomon's temple, and that Jesus Christ himself taught these principles in mortality, and that they were things that were given to the apostles. And that somehow this group of what we call the Masons, perhaps through a Templar connection, perhaps through another way, through the apostasy, they preserved these signs and symbols.
When we speak of Masonry, often the Masonry of today is confused with the Masonry of the late 18th and early 19th centuries. On the one hand, we have a contemporary fraternal organization, and on the other, we have ancient symbols and rites that were handed down through time to the founding fathers.
Further investigation reveals another occult symbol traced directly into the streets of Washington, D.C., a pentagram. And its southernmost tip points directly to the White House.
Latter-day Saints are accused of being Satan worshipers because some of our early buildings, the Logan Temple, the Salt Lake Temple, the Nauvoo Temple, all three of them have inverted 5-part stars on them. There are 40 on the Salt Lake Temple. Every window on the Nauvoo Temple is an inverted pentagram in a circle surrounded by 3 stones at each of the 4 cardinal directions, 12 stones. Here we have an inverted pentagram surrounding the Nauvoo Temple, the temple designed by Joseph Smith, the prophet of the Restoration. Why would he put a pentagram on one of the most important early temples? The pentagram is perhaps the oldest graphic symbol on the planet, discovered in ancient Babylon. For centuries, for millennia, it was tied to light, to creation, to healing. Some of the old healing professions and doctors used the pentagram as a symbol of healing because it has those connections of light, divine geometry, healing and perfection. Of course it would be tied to Jesus Christ, and it is.
I'm gonna stop there, just take a break right there so that I can do some commentary so they don't flag me.
Mhm.
But that reminds me of the symbols that are sewn into the undergarments. That is, it is so wrong. Whenever I went to Boise for Lori's trial, I went to my friend Jen's house, and they came up to Idaho and got me and brought me back to Salt Lake City. We went downtown, to the, what is it called? The square, the public Temple Square.
Oh, Temple Square.
And
Mhm.
I was just so overwhelmed, really. I mean, the air's thinner up there. And I'm from the southern part of the United States. So going there, I was very overwhelmed. But I've really started like having physical reactions to where we were. And when we left there, we were like, not, I was just like, oh my God, no wonder I was in the vicinity, and holy
Right.
crap. Like my Jason told me, my fiance, he said, oh my God, I'd love to go and tour some of the temples before they dedicate them. And I was like, you know what happens when they dedicate them, right? And the Hosanna, 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 that's getting everybody in the congregation to participate and seal the deal, so to speak. That I don't have a lot of proof of that, but it's a big hunch I've had. you know?
Well, they want to go off about how the pentagram isn't evil, but here's
Mhm.
the thing. They want to say you can go back to the olden days. Well, let's go back further than that. Because
All
if you
right.
go back to the Babylonians, that's Ishtar, that's goddess worship. And at the end of the second anointing, that's exactly what they're doing. They're
Here we go.
harnessing all of this energy. Yes. And I do a lot of studying on the occult. It was never something I wanted to do. And I'm telling
Me
you,
neither.
yes, they
Me
want
neither.
they do want on this question, they do want more
Good.
color in the church because of all of the problems with them like being very
They're
racist and
always
outwardly
working on their
racist.
image, but that is
Mhm.
interesting. I'm so sorry that that's happening to you. I really am. And she says,
That's
"Is
not
there
good.
a hush plan? Is there a hush plan to recruit more Black women? I've been approached 6 times in public by separate missionary." That's crazy. Separate missionaries. My
Yeah.
partner is white, and
They
he
wanna look
brought
good.
to my attention how much they've been coming up to me. Oh my gosh, right? He has never been approached. So they don't really want the white guy,
Wow.
right? Yeah, it's all about branding. And this reminds me of Tim Ballard and how he
Oh,
poses
he
with his adopted children who are Black from Haiti. I don't see him posing with his white children. And just like with Lori, she adopted my nephew, JJ. And it's like it's the latest fad and the new purse and the latest, fashion thing, and I'm just like, "What is this fakeness?"
Yep,
It's
yep.
disgusting. And so, I'm
Well,
so sorry that's happening to you.
it goes clear back to Babylon with this. This is not what they're saying. These symbols are far older than what they're saying. This is when I'm going to speak to you guys about masonry. I mean, we can do a regular masonry one, but honestly, it's not that interesting. The masonry that is
Right.
interesting is the Egyptian old primitive masonry, and that's where we
Holy
get a
crap.
lot of these symbols from. And so I never wanted to do this. I never wanted to study the occult. God really
Oh,
put this on my heart so that I would understand some things, and now I do, and that's why I speak out. So,
okay. I'm just opening it up so you can share the screen
yep.
again. Or wait,
Oh, no,
yeah,
that was
oh,
the
no,
end.
it's not
Yeah.
on there anymore. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. I mean, it's nuts, really. I mean, just that little bit, but I mean, I've been looking at all this. I just don't know what to make of it. And then that's
Mhm.
where you come in and other people too, it's like, we don't have to be experts, okay? We're not dumb. We were born with, our senses, our intuition, those things that they tell us to, not depend
Yes.
on, not rely on those things. And I mean, I say don't rely one way or the other, you know, you balance it. And I mean, you just kind of, what your body is telling you, listen to that. Please don't ignore it. Okay. I used to do that a lot. But I
Yeah.
mean, they want to dumb us down. And I say they, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because when you do your own research, they can't control that. And it's all about control
Yes.
and slavery.
Yep.
And
Well, and
so then,
harnessing energy. So these innocent
oh, that
people that
too.
are part of the regular Mormon church, like I was, like my grandma was, like these people are that I know that are good people, they don't know what they're
Unsuspecting.
doing. They do
No.
not. And so when that happens in there and you're doing these acts for dead people every time except the first time, right? Because every time after that, it's for a dead person. So why would you do that? Well, necromancy gives the gift of prophecy. Well, what do we say that the president of the church is? The prophet,
Mhm.
seer, and revelator. And
It's
and I
conflicting.
just
It's conflicting. I think it's set
I
up, it's
think
designed this way. I really do.
they're
I
just
do. And then
harnessing that energy from those people
they
that don't
are.
know, and that's
They
what they're
are.
doing.
I
Yes,
really do believe
yes,
that. And thank you, Marjorie. Right? I had a legit physical reaction to being so close, proximity of a temple, not just any temple, but the downtown Salt Lake City, I mean,
mhm.
that was crazy, you know. Um
I
I mean, I
I
have no
agree.
desire to go in there. I don't think I can. I don't think my body will let me.
No.
I wouldn't want to.
You don't want to. When
I
I was
pictured it.
there and I was knee deep in it and 100% devoted, and I still felt that way. You know, you said don't ignore your gut. I should have.
All right.
I should have.
Well, but we don't.
known
It's like you weren't able to exercise it, to rely on that because you live at, most, at least in the United States, in Utah, in the Mormodor, okay, where it's prominent population. I mean, Rexburg had 98% Mormon, okay,
Mhm.
and it's such a tiny, like a tiny town, and they're just got the second, or they're getting a second temple, and I'm like, what is
Yep.
that? Is that why my
Yep.
nephew and Tylee were murdered? I mean, are we Hosanna shouting for that? I, I think it's a fair question. I really do.
Right. Right.
Just saying.
Absolutely. And there's so many ties. It isn't just to like regular masonry. This isn't just to like regular stuff. There wouldn't be so many scandals in the church, like the pace
I
stuff.
mean,
No.
it affects my life to this very day. Lori used to
Yes.
go to the temple all the time. The more time in the temple, I have video clips of President Nelson saying, more time in the temple, the more blessed you are. But then yet they say that when she was going, that's extreme. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, but then, Heather Daybell, she did a couple interviews. She did one with Hidden True Crime. She talked about how she was going, more and more and more. And her house was like uber religious, but nobody really told her anything until after she started taking the stuff, the religious stuff down. Lori's entire, y'all saw it on body cam, all the walls were just nothing but temples. I mean, the story is that JJ climbed
Same
up
with
on
my
the
grandma.
kitchen cabinet and knocked over her Jesus picture, for Christ's sake, okay? And I'm like, really? Okay.
Or
Whatever you
false
got to do,
Jesus.
sister. Whatever you got to do,
Fake
sister.
Jesus. Yeah, fake
That's
Jesus.
maybe the only place he was on is your refrigerator, boo. Like, somebody, we need some big mirrors and just hold them up to these people because they suck and they just need
Well,
to
and
look at themselves.
he's probably Jesus with blue eyes, for heaven's sakes. Like, it's not
Something,
real.
something in those temples, y'all. That's my gut feeling. So many experiences that Lori talked about, and it was about my family, that my dead relatives, she was talking, she even said, Nancy, whatever, Brow, whatever. And she was like, because she said my husband's family. So that's my family. And I'm like, why are they walking through your temple walls, kissing you on the cheek? And then what are you doing with my lineage? Leave it alone.
That's
And
because
I
it
mean
wasn't
that.
done. She can't do her own because it's probably already done. So
It's
she
already
probably
hit.
did every person in your family,
That's why she got
honestly.
married so many times. Just picking.
That's what it is. She's trying to get it all done. Yeah.
She a headhunter.
That's what's up. That's what's
That's the
up.
Mormon in
Yeah.
her. She's like, I'm gonna go get her.
Jeez.
Might not work, but just saying.
Yes. The mirrors,
Wow.
Lori liked the
Oh
mirrors
yeah.
though. There are so many mirrors in the temple, and there's also mirrors that face one another when you're getting married for
Portals.
time and all eternity to, I believe it
God.
opens, it's very witchcraft. And when I got married and that happened, you're leaning over an
It's
altar, you're
weird.
looking into these mirrors, and I'm always like, were we channeling something like into our marriage? Like, you know what I mean? It was
So
scary.
what's
That's a
going
scary
on in those
thought.
temples? Because there's a lot of invitation and invoking, in my opinion. And
It's gonna
I'm
be
not here just to
underground.
pick on the
Mhm.
book of, or the church or the Book of Mormon. This just happens to be my introduction to the Book of Mormon, was because Lori is my aunt, and we're here now. And
Yep.
I mean, that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm not looking at other institutions so closely. But through this, I do see all the other institutions. They're no better. So,
Mm-mm.
but that's no way to justify it. And I've heard them justify it that way. Well, the Catholic Church does it. I'm like, okay, and don't
But
be
they're
shitty.
all But they're all gonna be together, and for the lady on here that said that she has had some things with fallen angels and stuff, that's because
Mm.
that they are going to try. Remember that John D was one of the first to talk about the New World Order. You
He was? Oh, I didn't know that.
when I show you the ties for money, like the number one holding for the Mormon church is Microsoft, Bill Gates. Tell me they're not involved. That's why.
Apple, with the Apple with a bite taken
Number
out of
3.
it, you know, when you
Mhm.
think about all
That's
these,
number
oh my
3.
God,
Yep.
with all these symbols,
Number
I can't
3.
do it. It's nuts,
Tesla,
y'all.
Apple, the
Beneficial life
Amazon,
insurance, beneficial life
um,
insurance.
Elon, Tesla, and his number one financial advisor is a Mormon, and his name is Jared
Yeah.
Birchall. We'll get into that. It's
Who,
all related.
I heard
Yep.
LDS Abuse say that the other day on Occult
Yep.
Rejects. I mean, it's blowing my mind. It's really
Yep.
blowing my mind. It's like I love the
All
fact that we can just kind of, like I said, debunk it. We're going to
Mhm.
debunk all the crap because for 5 years I've gone invalidated I'm sorry, not but invalidated. Nobody, I mean, I was saying second anointing in 2021. That's when I got my Jesus card, wherever it is. It's usually right here. A random Jesus card that landed in my living room while I was sleeping. Okay. By a missionary. Had my name on it and everything. Still does. And I mean, we don't have temples here, so that was interesting. But
Mm.
I was saying that a long time ago, and that's with no Mormonism. And I mean, I told you my first brush with what Mormonism was whenever I was a kid. I'd wake up on Saturday mornings to go turn the TV on and watch my cartoons and eat my cereal, right? And they would have that commercial, compassion, pass it along. And I was just like, oh, you know, and I'm like,
Yes.
where the hell is it at? You know, I'm looking everywhere for the
Yeah,
damn
no.
compassion, and it's not there.
No,
Not
they
everybody.
definitely I'm not saying that the people themselves aren't very
No,
nice
they're
people, but I'm just saying that there's something going on in the church to where they get up to a certain level, like second anointing level. And I do believe that's when they're getting these keys that you're talking about, this weird stuff that they were talking about, because it happened to the Laffertys too. The Lafferty brothers were high up. They were doctors in
Orville
the
Baron.
community. They were the big family that was like the everything people
Yeah.
in that area. And then the next thing you know, they look what happened, because I think they give them a certain knowledge at that point. And
Yeah.
that's just
That does
me. Yeah.
sound about that sounds right. Not only that, but then even you cannot tell someone who doesn't know any other thing except for these are your Mormon leaders. These are the leaders who you believe with all your heart and your soul, your entire life, that they are the mouthpiece for God on earth today, right now. And so if
Yep.
I was approached by that with only that amount of naivety, I don't know, and not knowing any different because you're in an echo chamber, imagine. I mean, I really look at the damage done. Look at the victims in the wake, not just with Lori and Chad, but look. I mean, the
Yeah.
ripple effects are horrible. And I think
And
they
they
like
all
that. I
connect.
really do. I've balanced it. I'm like, I don't blanket everybody and say they're all bad. They're all evil. They're all in this mission. No. But I've sat there and I balance. I'm like, how much do they know and how much do they believe all this?
Well, there's
They
something
practice
to be
it
said.
whether they believe it or
Yeah.
not.
There's something to be said about chaos magic. And there,
Oh,
that when you go to the left-hand path, it makes a lot more sense why they want these people upset, you know?
yeah.
So, yep,
Yeah.
that's why.
I mean, yeah, Lori saying that she uh saw Jesus in the flesh, which yeah, in the temple, that got her out of the death penalty, in my opinion. I really do. And I don't know why you would think that the church would really want to do away with them, but you still have to keep them silent, remind them
Mhm.
that they took an oath. They made
Yep.
covenants in the church, and so if they say something, they're dead. If they don't say anything, they at least get to live in prison, you know?
Well,
some
and the
more than
fact that
others.
the church hasn't denounced visions of glory is obscene,
It
because
says
it should be
everything.
on the denouncing list. And it is still sold in Barnes and Noble right next to the current prophet's autobiography. And
Don't
that's
buy it.
crazy.
I'll upload the damn thing and we'll share it. Okay, it's
Yeah.
horrible.
So,
He's just talking. I mean, and it doesn't really. I mean, he doesn't say, "Hey, I'm remote viewing," but he is in fact remote viewing. Okay, and he is
Mhm.
just speaking through this book. Okay, and he's sharing basically how he remote views and spies on people. I would say it. Yeah,
well,
it would appear that way.
MK Ultra was a big part in Utah, not to mention the fact that, the Mormons were one of the few people that ran to Germany's aid after everything. This goes to Hitler. This is going to go
Right?
clear up.
I
Like,
thought
this
so.
is
I knew it. I knew it. Swear.
it's such a big web, and I'm not talking about your friend's grandma. I'm talking about the elites, and they are
Right, but
doing
they're
heinous
sitting
things.
but they're sitting next to you in the pews every week
Yeah.
amongst you, and you don't know. Look at David Hamblin. Look at his I mean, that whole crew. There's 144 named people in those victim statements that I mean, it's basically one of the original SRA cases for it's part of the
Mhm.
satanic panic. That's what they labeled it. That's back then QAnon, basically. Okay.
Yep.
And so that's what they do. They label it with conspiracy theorist. They label it with the crazy. They love that one. They label it.
Yep.
They character assassinate. They gang stalk you. Basically, they really
Mhm.
do try to use their little tactics and stuff. But
They absolutely
no,
do,
they make
because
gang
it's
stalk.
the only way out of it. And Utah is one of the only states that doesn't let the
Yeah,
abusers come forward late in life for children, for
I
child abuse
know.
cases. They're trying to change it right now, but that is why Russell M.
Mhm.
Nelson's daughter got out of the trouble
Yeah,
she was in.
her and her
So,
husband. Touch parties still going on.
yep.
That's why you have Hulu's more mom talk, whatever swinger
It's
club
all
over
sex
there.
magic.
That's
They're
why
harnessing magic.
and
Yep.
the drugs too, like with the GHB. I mean, there was GHB found in JJ's little system. We don't know how Tylee was even murdered, so we don't know, what was
Yep.
even if anything, you know what I mean, if she was
It's
violated.
sad. Or
Uh,
if they kept parts of her, if they kept bones,
they did. Because
Yeah.
there are so many missing bones. I think that was one of the most shocking things I learned. It took me a little bit to absorb that, but it was an expert witness called by the defense, Chad Daybell and John Pryor, and I mean he showed not a body or anything, but just
Was her
skeletal.
hands missing? Was
I
her
don't
hands
remember. I'm
missing?
gonna have to go back and look because I'm
That's really
curious.
important. Mhm.
Yeah, JJ's were
They
like this. I
Mhm.
mean, so anyways, I know that they're ritual they're victims of that, and it
Yep.
is alive and well. It always has been because it's never been addressed. That is
Yep.
my mission in life.
Yes.
That has become my
Yes.
mission.
Well, and you
Um,
deserve the right to have that. It's your
I want it
family.
for them, it's like, God damn it, stop
Yes.
stomping on my family's blood head.
Yes.
I mean, like, on just their whole memory. You totally
Yep.
like, they totally let them down. It's like, they're like,
No.
"Here, little girl, here, little boy, come eat out of my hand. It's okay." And then they
Uh,
just are the very ones who, I can't think of the right
it's
word.
all so evil. They're just harnessing everything from
Yeah, and they
everybody,
they
and
thrive off of this shit. They do. They
they
do.
do.
They take
Yep.
our
I couldn't
energy, They're into it.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
And they have, with the things they communicate with the powers that they communicate with, just you got to protect yourself out there, people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Huggy
that's
Bear.
yep.
It's a good question, and
That's
it's a
yep.
very honest question. They usually put them under the altar right there.
Mm, I
Ask
think so.
DJ Norman. I miss him, by the way. DJ, I hope you're doing okay. If you're ever around these parts, come back. Anyways,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So is there anything else you want to talk about, or anybody else have any
That
questions?
that's it for me for tonight. But yes, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Unless anybody has
We
questions for me, I'll
we
be
damn
happy
do.
to.
Right?
Yeah.
It's never addressed because these people pretend to be Christian, right? They do. I
Yep.
mean, some of them don't know any different. Some of them think they are.
Well, I think
You
there
know?
are people
Depends on
who
what
are so
level of
yeah, the middle covers the evil, like the
right.
normal covers
And
the
then you
evil.
have
It's
basically all the people who say, I heard you say that. I was catching up. I watched you all day actually. And
oh,
so you were saying something like how they're like, "Oh, no, that's not that. That
yeah,
happened over there."
right.
Like the common tactics, I guess.
Yep, they
How
gaslight you so bad. It's
I
like,
didn't know what that was till
okay,
this.
yeah.
I
Oh
really
my
did not
gosh.
know all these things, the terminology, right?
Right.
Um, it's crazy. I don't know.
Well,
So where do we go from here? Like, what's the next? What do we prepare
so
for? Or do
if
you
you
even know?
wanna if you wanna do the next, like you were saying, grabbing some things so that it's not just me coming with
Yeah.
stuff and then
Yeah.
like back and forth.
Yeah.
So, because you said you wanted to bring some things to
Definitely.
go over, so that might be a
Yep.
fun thing to do next. And then
That's true.
I can bring another one
Ah,
like a financials, or we can do Mormon mob, or however we
I
want
got
to do it. So,
I got things.
yes,
I got things right now.
yeah,
No,
yes,
I mean, I was looking for because I have a temple video, because of the words. If you just have to listen to the words and
Mhm.
everything that Lori said to my Uncle Charles, okay, is
Right.
in these ceremonies, in these ordinances, or what do you call them? Oh my gosh, I just went blank.
Uh,
Endowments. My bad.
yes. Yep.
Right? Okay. So it's like, I mean, that's what I don't know. That's just kind of how I've dealt with it, is just kind of listen to what they say. And I might not
Mhm.
remember what I said just 2 seconds ago because of all the trauma that happened in my brain, obviously, and it's a lot to cram. I mean, it's like murder, all the case details plus all the grief that comes with that and the mourning and, all that. And
Yeah.
then Mormonism. Okay. No, I don't even think
Right.
the highest Mormon understands Mormonism. Okay. It's just like, what?
Yep.
But
It's
I
so
understand it
true.
enough to navigate now,
Yes.
I try to.
Yes. And
This okay.
so much is this so much of the Masonic stuff changed too in the temple, like that one breast to breast, because the women,
Mm,
they used to do it and now they don't do it because the women, but
yeah.
they were like, I don't want to put my breast on a guy.
Right?
Hello, Yeah.
Right?
And so,
I heard
but
you say
yet,
that. You were like, "Send the guy in." Was that
yep,
you?
yep,
Yeah, okay.
yes, yeah. Because I
I was
said
like
the
that with my
women.
gynecologist too. I was like, "I don't wanna I don't want a girl. I'm good."
Yep. Well,
You
the
know?
women I didn't think could do it because I was always told they didn't have the priesthood, but I didn't realize
Right?
that she was a priestess with the second anointing, and she does have the priesthood. So I thought
Yeah.
it was invalid. Yeah. Eh,
I wish that people would realize that Lori did have the priesthood because, I mean, I even heard it from Tom Harrison, you know, in his book, and um, that women get the priesthood. They don't have
yes.
to work, but they can practice and give blessings and things like that. That's what happens whenever you become exalted goddess.
Yep. Yep. That's
Kings,
exactly true.
queens, prophet, prophetess. Yeah,
Yep.
it
Create.
is something they're selling eternal salvation here on earth, and it's
Mhm.
not waiting for you in the next life. That they don't even believe in multiple lives, right? So why is it waiting
Yep.
for you in the next life? First off, you don't believe
Yep.
in that.
It's so
But
true.
you have a
So
pre-mortal, you have, now I think something might be wrong with Jason. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
that's okay. That's okay. I think we're
Huh,
at that point anyway. So thank you
yeah,
so much for having me on. Um,
sorry.
I'm Heidi
Yeah.
Love. No, it's been a good amount of time. No problem.
Yeah, I think so.
And I
Well,
can't
thank
wait till the
you.
next one. Let's keep
Can reach your
exposing
hand.
this. Yes. We're
Definitely.
gonna keep
All right.
going. Hope he's
Bye,
okay. Bye,
guys.
you guys.
Love
Bye.
you. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. Love always
Yes.
wins, and you guys are proof of this. Bye.